Side, please. Thank you. Official business, sir. Ma'am, emergency. Please step aside, sir.
Hey, get lost. I'm waiting here, huh?
FBI, you might want to stay out of this, all right, sir? Excuse me, sir. Ma'am, please, back off. All right, I need 8 double tall.
Well, have no fear, because I can tell you right now, you don't have to wait in line. Here at the Cantina, at 6 Scale Cantina, we have plenty, including myself, that help serve it up. And we're serving up all the Star Wars talk. And listen, this is the Aries Terrington Show. I'm a little bit excited today. I'm a little bit pumped up, and I have no idea why. But look at my special guest, so fitting for today. A humongous, gargantuous Star Wars fan. We have in here, and what a day! And so good to have you in here, from Positive Fandom. Welcome. What's going on?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Aries. It's just so wonderful to be here. It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan. The excitement is just buzzing in the air. Can you feel it? Can you feel the excitement?
I could feel it. I could smell it. I could taste it. And I could even taste it with this wizard juice that has a little bit of this wizard sugar we've been talking about in there. Oh, I think the Hot Toys wizard is on fire. I think that Deborah Chow is on fire.
We certainly are witnessing ground-shaking events. I think that they've just started to kind of rock the boat just a little to give us make us feel a little bit excited. And now I have a feeling from this point forward, they're going to keep enticing us with announcements and different information. But I have to say, when I saw that trailer this morning, so to speak, Aries, I was just so elated. I just couldn't just stop talking about this Kenobi trailer.
I know. And I want to talk a little bit about Positive Fandom, which is your channel. We'll get into that because we're just we can't contain ourselves as Star Wars freaks going right into what happened today. I mean, I didn't plan this. You didn't plan it. We planned for you to be on the show.
Yes.
Okay. But we didn't plan for this to happen. First, it was the pictures, and which were like very telling in and of itself, seeing how the way Ewan McGregor looked. But man, that trailer, you're right. And but look, before we get into it, I mean, there's already a refill. We just started serving it up with our favorite little new Mickey Mouse at table 5. Already in there drinking up. And listen, everybody in here, welcome to the Aries Terrington Show here on a Wednesday evening. My special guest, from Positive Fandom, and she already put out a video today giving her thoughts on this trailer. But wow, I mean, I guess let's start off with this, because I feel like you and I just want to dive into this. Has there ever been a better time? Look, and I've been saying this for a while, but I don't think there's ever been a better time to be a Star Wars fan, unless we can go back to 1977, 1978, or 1981, waiting in line to see The Empire Strikes Back. I mean, really, this is it.
This really is a special time. I think that, we've kind of just passed a cusp of where we've always hoped Star Wars would be. We always had all of the wonderful books and lore and material, but now we're getting all these productions that we've always wanted, right? Who didn't want to see, Obi-Wan at this stage in his life? Who didn't want to see, the love story between Anakin and Padme? We've always imagined what these things would be like. And let's say over the past 20 years, before Disney Star Wars, we got a little bit and we were lucky to get those films. But since then, we really have been getting, more and more productions of Star Wars, and such a variety of productions that it's just been mind blowing, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really, really has, Artem. It's been mind blowing, and I really, I talk about all the time about um uh, feeling like a kid when it comes to hot toys and when it comes to collecting, and playing with my action figures like I did when I was a child, or when I was a youngster. And but I feel like Disney, I feel like, John Favreau, Dave Filoni, Deborah Chow, they're kind of like playing with their action figures here, because they're doing exactly what you're saying. And I feel like, I don't even want to say is it possible, because I definitely feel like that they're showing us that they have an ultimate plan for Star Wars, and they're really pushing this envelope forward, but in a way that doesn't feel forced. Um, Man, it feels so good, because I feel like we're getting a lot of this giddy stuff that we would only dream about, but they're doing it in a real, I feel intelligent way that's not forced.
Yeah, it does feel like the natural progression of things. And while it is true that we have waited many years for this Obi-Wan series, which might have been a movie at one point, and then a limited series, and then a number of reiterations of things, the timing is right for it to come out right now, and it feels right. And nothing can convince me that that isn't the case, because that trailer that we saw today was one of the most beautiful trailers I've seen in a long time, and certainly more than just a TV series trailer for me. It was quite cinematic.
Yeah, and we were talking about that very briefly backstage. And welcome everybody in here to the Aries Terrington Show. And if you don't know who I am the Dark Jedi, Aries Terrington. And I'll be serving up all the Star Wars life, sci-fi, entertainment, sports, hot toys, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars talk, along with my very, very special guest from Positive Fandom, and we're having just a great time, just getting right into this. And listen, while you're in here enjoying this conversation, hit the like button while you're at it, because certainly we're going to need Mr. Howard Chan with a lot of these characters we're going to be talking about to make sure he gets the right hot toys in the pipeline, for sure, besides what a Disney are going to make him do. But yeah, and I'll keep flashing everybody here up on the screen as we talk the best of my ability. Welcome everybody in here. um it felt like I was watching a movie trailer. So, you know you mentioned that, and I think you mentioned it in the preview video on your channel, which everybody got to go check it out, because I'm right on par with exactly what Artem said there. Um, yeah, it feels like we're gonna go watch a movie, like I'm gonna go to the theater now with this.
It certainly does. And I know that we've all been saying how, perhaps we've been in Tatooine just a little too long, that it feels somewhat tired. We want a different location. But to be honest with you, Aries, if Tatooine can look like this, I'll take more of it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Tatooine, because that's a lot what George Lucas based a lot in. I mean, you would think it would get tiresome, but I I think that they have no other choice. Honestly, is really where I think, because that's where Luke is, right? But I do think, I won't get into it. We got to get into a lot of possibilities. I think Obi-Wan's going to be off planet maybe several times within this show. I don't think that they're showing us nearly anything of what they're going to show in there. But let me tell you something, girl.
Yes.
Wow. to hear that music and here, I'll kind of hum it for you. Dun 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 dun. Come on, I'm making duel of the fates. Wow, it got me going. It looked so. I mean, it was. I remember the theatrical. I remember most anyway. You know, off the top of my head, all the Star Wars theatrical trailers, teaser trailers, whatnot. It felt like a teaser trailer, like you would for Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi. And I was like, wow, you know, the Solo movie, Rogue One. Is it possible that because that they're going out of their way to say it's a limited series? Notice they didn't do that, I don't know, with the Book of Boba Fett. Again, I think that they're going to continue with that, but not to digress. You have to wonder how much budget and how much, you know, cinematography we're going to feature in here, which is why I'm not ruling out some characters for this limited series, which is probably here and gone, and probably have some spin-offs and some things that'll tie in. But do you think it's because that they're calling it partly a limited series, that they're treating it like it's a movie and they're breaking it up in segments?
I think they're going to do quality over quantity when it comes to this series. And they almost have to, because they can't be fast and dirty with Obi-Wan. You know, he has a certain presence about him and a certain legitimacy that we expect to see on the screen. We can't see something that looks ridiculous and just buy it. You know, fans are expecting high quality, a realistic situation. And, you know, it's Ewan McGregor. I think that even Ewan McGregor himself would demand excellence in this series. So I have a huge amount of confidence that it's because between the production and Ewan's involvement and just overall the character's importance, that we are going to get something that is absolutely spectacular.
Absolutely. And let's carry on from there. I don't know, let's say hi to some of these people that are in here. I'll do my very best. We have got Fab's figures in the house. Fabio from Fabio Land. What is up? The Dark Jedi. And Fabio from Fabio, how are you feeling? I have a funny feeling the Hot Toys Wizard may take on your likeness again. He's enjoying it. He wants to taste that cigar, baby. Max's Geekdom is in here. Welcome in here, Max's Geekdom. Yes. 6 scale Padawan. Wow, it's so exciting. El Profesoro, Mario, good to have my brother in here. Awesome. Big Dog Pound with the Rick. I love that avatar, Artem. I love wrestling. Oh, goodness gracious. Fat Batman is in here. I love that name. I love the Fat Batman. Let's go. JC is in here. Obi-Wan is my boy. Yeah, and I think he's Artem and my boy too. Griffin Campbell in here. Is it possible? And I say yes.
Yes.
Come on. And Sean is in the house. Evening Aries, needing some strong coffee at my table, sir. So listen, I think already Mickey Mouse needs another refill. And you have to wonder, Artem, he's camping out at table 5. Is it possible that Grogu's going to force jump his way? Kind of like what video game? I don't know. Maybe that would be like Cubert, all the way to table 88 later. We have to play the other clip, but I got that queued up. Listen, no one said at table 66, because you see what we're talking about here today. And welcome everybody who's in here for sure. Good to have everyone up. Lane is in here also, and Rebel Scum. Good to see you. And if I miss some of you, just keep in there texting. Bugman is in here. JC, Star Wars Addict. Come on. I was these pictures got me in. It was almost like a concentrated effort. They put these pictures out, and then shortly afterwards, someone sent me a message. Actually, I got like a bunch of messages. I think the first one I looked at was a supporter that's in a lot of our content creator live stream, single songwriter. And I said, "What's this?" And it was like Obi-Wan trail. And I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." And I turned that thing on. Wow. He looks good. Let's talk about the way he looks here. I mean, he looks fantastic. He looks the way I would imagine him. He's kind of he's getting to where that Alec Guinness will eventually be, but that's still way down the road because they're showing Luke, and Luke's like a little kid right now. They showed that picture, but I think he looks damn good.
He does look good, and you can't help but not notice the look of concern on his face. And of course, in this particular pose, he has, his lightsaber at the ready. Hi, single songwriter. And clearly he's, has an attentive look on his face because perhaps there is danger, and that's why he has his lightsaber drawn. So what we're capturing right here, or at least seeing on the cover of Entertainment Magazine, is probably one of a million times that he's had to draw his lightsaber, and probably to protect Luke, right? I mean, it looks like he might be on Tatooine in that photo, and we are expecting to see this many, many times, at least once or twice in this series for sure, right, Aries?
Yeah, I think you're right, Artem, and this is a very good point you bring up, because I feel like that they're going to be tactful with this, because obviously you can pose like you pose your figures to get some type of dramatic effect, to lure people in to want to watch something that you're selling. And he has his lightsaber ignited here, and he does have that very serious look. As a matter of fact, we'll go to a lot of the other pictures that I got queued up here as well. But it does make you wonder, is it possible that there's more than the threats than what they're showing? The Grand Inquisitor looks, man, I mean, it looks so darn good. Casting that way, I mean, it looks, I don't know, it kind of reminded me a little bit of how maybe Darth Malgus would look in a way, just his structure, his body type and whatnot. But I get a sense, and we'll go through this, I get a sense with this. They already told us that he's gonna battle Darth Vader. They gave us the breath at the end, but we already know this. We already know that's going to happen. They purposely showed us, Inquisitors. It looks like I thought it was going to be the seventh sister, but it looks like I'm here. This is the third sister that's going to be in there. So you're going to get the Inquisitors. I think you're going to get Purge Troopers. We can get into all of that. I get a sense that there's also something else here, especially at this timeline, that we may see. And I think he's going to be protecting Luke, obviously. He's going to be protecting Owen, which we're going to talk about that, because it almost looks like the same actor from, I don't know if they de-aged him or whatnot.
It looks like him exactly,
I mean,
Aries.
did you do a double take on that?
Yeah, I did.
Do you think that they see, if that's CGI, if that is CGI, sister, I'm going to lose my mind, because I thought that they blew me away with the Luke. And I feel like I'm going back now to, when did we see him? Was it 2004 or something like that? When did that? 2005, I think.
About almost 20 years ago.
I know. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good point. Do you feel like that there may be more to this? I feel like in a way, they told us everything. You're going to get Darth Vader. We signed Hayden Christensen. Here's Inquisitors. They're going to be hunting down Jedi, and he's got to protect Luke, obviously. They might go after Owen. There's going to be more to this.
There is going to be more to it, because he can't be with Luke 24/7, right, Aries? Like, it's just not realistic, right? There's going to be times when Luke is on his own, or his aunt and uncle are going to be with him on their own. And what happens when Obi isn't watching? He wants to be there all the time, but he can't. And he doesn't have anybody who can protect him the way that he can. And let's just be honest about it. Oh, like you said, Obi-Wan is going to be traveling to different places, most likely. So if he's not watching him, someone else may be watching Luke, and we don't know who that may be.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Is it possible, like we're seeing this picture here now, looks like he's on a recon mission. He has his hood up. He knows where he is. Maybe he's on Tatooine. Maybe he's somewhere else. But you almost have to wonder how much they're showing. They didn't show any Darth Vader, which I want to get your thoughts on that. All they showed, what was the breath. And I think you're going to get him in another trailer. But I think he's going to be keeping an eye on things. You have to wonder, is he going to get another message that's going to be poetic? Like when Leia was trying to put a message into R2, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Why don't I got that clip? I don't got that queued up. But, you have to wonder if that's going to happen. I feel he is going to be compelled to leave Tatooine to answer a call from Jimmy Smith's Bail Organa. What do you think? Possibly.
It is likely, and it makes sense since, Leia is with Bail and his wife. They have equal concerns. I'm sure that Bail is doing everything to protect Leia, but let's be honest, she's in incredible danger, and she's much more exposed than Luke.
Yeah, that's a good point. Keep going through these pictures. Uncommon Flex is asking me, what table is popping? Look, I think they're all popping. Stay away from table 66. I'm trying to keep you all from having me play that clip. But we will refill table 5. Wow, Grogu can drink. He can drink.
He can.
Yeah, Jimmy's. Let's talk about that for a minute before we get to some of the other pictures. How big of a role do you think Jimmy Smits is going to play in a series like this? Obviously, you got a phenomenal actor in Ewan McGregor, and obviously Hayden Christensen as well. But they had tremendous chemistry on them in Revenge of the Sith. I mean,
Yes.
Just that whole point where he contacts Bail Organa. My clones have turned on me. He's like, come here, and they get on, Bail Organa's ship. I wonder if there could be some type of. I feel like that there's going to be a reunion in that way. And what kind of role do you think Jimmy Smits is going to play? And do you think, like we saw the young Luke, are we going to see young Leia?
I sure hope so. It would make perfect sense for us to know that she is safe. And I think that this would work better as a series if we knew that both Luke and Leia are equally safe, so that it's not a situation where we know nothing about what's going on with Leia whatsoever. And we're wondering, what's going on in her part of the galaxy. But when it comes to Luke, we have too much information. I think that if they balanced it out, it would make, somewhat of a more even feeling to it. And also, since they are twins and are connected, not just in blood, but through the Force, presumably, maybe we'll even see, where he might have dreams about his sister. You never know. So I would have to wonder about that. And, how different does Bail advise Leia versus how Luke it gets advised by Obi? Did they discuss things? Did they have a discussion saying, by the way, this is what I've told her, and this is where I'm going to keep it at bay and not encourage her to do certain things? We just don't know how they're going to be raised. But if Leia is raised as a princess, everyone will know who she is. And how does that change the dynamic of a child from someone who has such a high profile? And what exactly happens to Bail Organa during this time anyway? Is he, I'm kind of curious. He looks like he could survive anything, but it can't be easy for someone like him who supported the Republic before.
No, that's you have to wonder about that and about what is going on with Bail Organa right now, as you're saying. And yes, it looks like we got some type of bots in there, and I know some of my admins. Go ahead and see if you can help us out. Everyone's welcome in the cantina, except these evil clone troopers that come in that try and take over table 66. I told you, keep away from that chili. Big Dog Bag goes, we got a troll.
Yes.
Oh my goodness gracious. I'm gonna put this up on the screen, see if I could go back to it, because I want to ask you about this.
Yes.
Because I have to look at this again. I've watched it a bunch of times. Single Songwriter says, did you see the quick scene in the alley of that famous gun? What am I missing here? Could it be you know who? Do you have any idea, Arnold? Because I don't right now. Maybe tell us more.
No, I don't know. Single songwriter has stumped me.
Yes, I am stumped as well. I am stumped as well. This is a good one I want to ask you as we continue to go on here. Sinister SMR asks, I wonder if we are going to see the return of Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, this is fascinating to me, Artem, because one of the mandates, if you will, or assignments, maybe better, that Yoda gave Obi-Wan was to commune with Qui-Gon while he is in solitude on Tatooine. And you have to wonder, is it possible that we actually see a Force ghost, Liam Neeson? I would absolutely lose my mind. And not to get, we always mix in Hot Toys with this, but that Hot Toy figure right now is starting to now go up, and it's approaching the $300 tier range. And I called that it would, just like the Count Dooku did, just like the Director Credit. It just takes some time. But can you imagine if that happened? But I actually think, and we're going to get into some of this in here, Bill Burr denied, I will not be in The Mandalorian season 2. They never tell you everything that they're going to do. It wouldn't shock me. As a matter of fact, I don't want to say disappointed. I'd be surprised if he wasn't in here with the decree that Yoda gave Obi-Wan.
Yeah, there's no reason why not to think he wouldn't appear. I mean, he appeared to Yoda in the Clone Wars. So obviously Qui-Gon wants to share this information with as many Jedi that are still around that he can. And I don't know whether his ability to appear to Jedi are limited. I'm not quite sure. But for people who he was very close to, it would seem to make sense that he should at least be able to appear to the person that he trained himself, his own Padawan, Obi-Wan, and the person who pretty much held him in his arms when he was dying, right? Certainly he should be able to appear to him. And I almost wish he had appeared a little bit sooner, because it seems like Obi needed this kind of guidance. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Obi. He can handle anything, but I almost feel like he could have used some advice every once in a while from outside of the Jedi Council, so to speak.
Yeah. That's going to bring me to some thoughts on where he could possibly be getting some counsel. Obviously, if he's still in communication with Bail Organa, just from a, empire standpoint, political standpoint, where things stand, how's Leia doing, they're keeping in contact. Maybe he is in some type of communication with Yoda. But what's very interesting in the book of Boba Fett was, I spilled my coffee on it, actually. It seems like that Ahsoka is a mentor to Luke, which comes around full circle, doesn't it? And you have to wonder, Artem, I'm pulling this picture up here, another one where he's kind of, he's looking, he's observing, and he's serious. I don't know, but I feel like I feel like he may have a mentor in some sense, or someone who he's at least that's a hard call. And I really want to believe, and I do believe it with this. I think we're going to get blown away with action. We're going to see Obi-Wan come full circle. I don't want us to get depressed that he's all alone, he's in solitude, he's got no one to talk to, he's kind of losing his mind. I think a lot of these pictures of the seriousness, I hope anyway, is more of he's observing. He knows that there's an imminent threat. He's been informed that there's an imminent threat. He's keeping an eye on Luke without stepping on Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen's toes. And at the same time, maybe being mindful of himself, because he's going to get hunted too, obviously.
Yes, he is going to get hunted. And I'm assuming that at this point, let's say 5 years in, he's accustomed to this already. And he's managed to elude the Empire in several ways by, maybe perhaps going to Coruscant, which I imagine he might go back to, because I guess whatever's left of the temple is still there. And if he has to visit Bail, perhaps he'll be going to Alderaan. the possibilities are endless as to where he could go. But yes, he clearly does need a mentor. And for me, it seems like it would probably be Grandmaster Yoda who would be mentoring him all this time. And about the only thing that we know for sure is that Yoda ends up in Dagobah at some point, and perhaps is there now because it's an easier place for him to be for whatever reason. But, I imagine that there must be some contact that way. And, otherwise, what other mentors could he have? I don't know of anyone or could think of another person who might fill those shoes for him. But it was quite a dramatic change for him to go from, life in the Jedi Temple, which I consider to be somewhat of an extravagant life, even though they kind of live meager lifestyles within it, to, pretty much fending for himself. It feels like he's doing a lot of fending for himself. And I have no idea, Jedi are amazing individuals and they can survive, but can you survive your whole life like this? It's like they have survival skills, but do the survival skills extend to this extent? This is an extreme situation, even in the best of times living like this, where he talked about, being on the run with, Satine for a year and how and I think he was with Qui-Gon at the time, but I'm not sure, had to kind of like live hand to mouth. Well, this isn't even hand to mouth. This is more like, watch your back at all times, always keep your lightsaber under your pillow sort of situation. So, it's like one of the most extreme situations, isn't it? And it's not the ideal situation. And the thing that I'm really curious about, the only thing that I could think of in the way that they would continue to hunt down Jedi is obviously it's not always effective to necessarily like fly into every, planet and seek and see if there are Jedi there. We were kind of hinted in a few games that they use holocrons to find potential Force users. And so I'm almost wondering whether or not the holocron, thing is a big thing for them now, and they still use that. Is there another way to find Jedi other than, wow, this person seems Force sensitive? It's not really a very efficient way to find Jedi, so to speak, at least in my opinion. And since that is the Inquisitor's goal to do that, how would they locate even somebody like Obi-Wan? Can he shield some of his powers? Does he have Force stealth? What exactly is he doing to make sure that no one can detect him? And so, these are kind of questions that I have that I just can't wrap my head around, because it seems like an impossible thing to be able to survive this way.
I know. And you bring up some interesting thoughts I want to touch on. And with 60 in here already, please go ahead and smash that like button. You are watching the Aries Terrington Show here on a Wednesday evening. And are you kidding me? The Obi-Wan series trailer broke today after the images came out from Entertainment Weekly, and my special guest from Positive Fandom, is in here, and her and I are just having a grand old time. We can't stop smiling. We opened up the show talking about what a great time it is to be a Star Wars fan, and honestly, and I have a couple of questions on what you just said, but I mean, I was smiling like this even before this happened. I don't know. We haven't even begun. We haven't even begun with what they're going to do on Disney Plus. We haven't even begun with what they're going to announce at Celebration, which we confirmed before we came on the show is like the end of May, like May 26th, after the first episode, May 25th. Wow. I mean, I can't stop smiling because we're finally getting everything that we want. And here's the kicker. We're going to get right back into this. There's not even a darn movie girl that we're talking about. We're talking about television shows. There's not even a movie that we're talking about here.
Yeah, we're extremely lucky. I don't know any other IP that gets this amount of delivery when it comes to productions. We're so lucky, and I realize that it's got its ups and downs, but where else on earth does anyone get anything like this? We are so lucky. And, looking at, getting back to the trailer again, hi, Man of Hot Collectibles.
My bad.
Indira, one of the actresses, in my mind, I kind of had pictured her as an Inquisitor, but she plays a commander. And I'm really curious about her in that role. I don't know the other actors as well, but just even looking at their demeanor and the way that they're portraying the characters in this trailer, this is just just top-notch performance, Aries. I wasn't expecting this in this trailer at all. I mean, I wasn't pessimistic. It's just that I wasn't expecting this level of production, and to get, scenes like this that really kind of give us an essence of what I think the series might be like. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and there she is, who you're
Yes.
talking about. And it looks like the same, like, Inquisitor outfit, or like what was, worn by the second sister, or to that effect. I think they're saying she's the third sister. But yeah, I mean, she looks incredible, and I cannot wait. And I do think I'm going to get your thoughts on it. I know that and I think it's great that they're showing her without her helmet, but I do think she's going to have the helmet on at certain points, and she's going to take it off, just like Tamora Morrison. What do you think?
Yeah, I think she's going to wear it just for her own protection. I guess perhaps, the funny thing about these Inquisitors is that, we saw that they're being commanded by the main Inquisitor, so to speak. And it seems terrifying. It's a rough, and tough group. These guys don't, to be honest with you, some of them may have been Jedi that were in the Jedi Temple that might have been converted to the dark side. Some maybe not, but it seems like, a hard knock life for them, because essentially all they do is hunt down other Jedi or other people if they have to, who may be Force sensitive. And there's a lot of pressure on them. There's a lot of pressure for them to get results, because I guess they have a list perhaps of everybody. And I can't hear you. You're muted.
I unmuted myself because I was opening this new cantina drink up, and I didn't want anyone to hear the coming up. Yeah, no, sorry about that. Yeah, no. Well, you know what, Darth Vader, when you fail Darth Vader, and he's ultimately the one who's, I think, in charge of this, right? Ultimately, that goes all the way up, who the Grand Inquisitor is going to report to. Well, you know what happens. Ask Captain Nita.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is certainly a regime that I think many of them were forced into, through torture or through threats. I don't think anybody, any of them, maybe one or two of them, but from what I understand, many of them were former light side, users. And so I kind of feel a little sorry for some of them. The idea that they had to be coaxed or coerced into this, like everybody else in the Empire who has to be coerced in this sort of like imperial slavery, if you will, doing whatever the Empire says, and, sacrificing everything, that's important to them just to meet the Empire's ultimate goal. So the pressure on them is much greater, maybe even greater than what's on Obi-Wan. But Obi-Wan does look on his face as if he is wearing, like balancing the weight of the world on his shoulders, which is something that I'd never seen him like that before. And so in my mind, he does have like somewhat a bit of stress that I have never seen Obi-Wan have. And he does seem different because of this to me. Very different sense of responsibility that I'm seeing from him here.
And you mentioned that on your channel, Positive Fandom, on the video preview that you put up today on your review of that trailer. And listen, everybody, I have Arum's link to Positive Fandom within the video description below. So you absolutely got to subscribe to this girl, to this channel. It is absolutely awesome. And I also have the link to Positive Fandom at 6scalecantina.com. On the links and resources page. I'll pull that up a little bit later. I got everybody in the 6-scale community up on there, whether it's, giant channels to ones just starting out. And then if I don't have you in there, you're a content creator, let me know. I will get you in there. But this is interesting. From Man of Hot Collectibles, Dante says, is it possible that the show will be so amazing that we will get a season 2? And my thoughts on that are, I think they already know that they're going to hit this out of the park. I think that they already knew, like with the Boba Fett series, that they knew to make the last 3 episodes The Mandalorian. I think they just have some foresight on where they want to go with this. I don't think at all. I think they're calling it limited series because you're not. But do I think that there could be some spin-off shows? Do I think that there could be? I just feel like this show. I feel like this show is going to tie in so much to what Favreau and Filoni are trying to tell the story of where they're going with this. It's not even going to be funny. So in a way, I feel like we get another season or we get answers, not only for what they're doing in the Mandalorian timeline and possibly other shows that are going to take place in around this timeline, but also the sequels are them. Now, well, let me stop there and see what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I do have to wonder about that. This is taking place in the early days of the Empire. And so, we really don't know exactly what direction they want to continue after this series. I mean, we know what point they'll stop at. This series is not going to be more than, let's say, a year's worth of time, I imagine. I don't think we're going to see a time jump in the Obi-Wan series, but it does make me wonder. There might be a need to have a second series, maybe 10 years later, or 5 years later, 7 years later, whatever, a certain time jump where certain events had to take place before they could do the time jump.
Yeah, and they could call it something different, right? They don't have to call it the Obi-Wan series. If they call it something different.
That's right. And, let's say we're at a point where the Inquisitors are perhaps not as plentiful, and there's more obedience to the Empire, and the Empire looks like it's always going to be in existence at some point after a certain number of years, where people perhaps are not as hopeful as they appear to be, or think that this is pretty much how things are going to be in the galaxy. How would that sway, public opinion and support for the Empire, which I think a lot of people are still probably very resistant to, even after 5 years of rule, which it might take 5 years just for the Empire to reach every single planet in the system. I'm not sure. It's looking at it from a logistical point of view, but it is something to think about. And perhaps what we're seeing in Owen's face is the realization that these Inquisitors really are going to come looking for people who are Force users, and maybe what Obi has been saying all along is correct, and perhaps we really are in a lot of danger. That realization on his face might be what we're seeing, and perhaps he's got to hurry up and get in contact with Ben and tell him to come back wherever he is, because I have a sense that Ben is not there at that moment. I have a sense that Owen was rounded up with a bunch of people. She's asking them, I'm here for a particular reason. And, straight out of a scene of, Jedi Fallen Order, let's say, with the Inquisitor who's asking, I know there's a Force user here. I know there's a Force user. And if nobody says who it is, I'm going to kill the next 3 people, that perhaps a challenge that he's never seen before. No one's ever seen this before. No one's ever done anything so heinous or cruel. So then the realization of how evil the Empire can be starts to come over them. And then, people will behave differently. They're not going to be behaving the way we saw them in, the Book of Boba Fett, or even in The Mandalorian. We're not going to see that kind of reaction.
No. Listen, you're making me spill everything over here with some of the stuff that you are suggesting, because I got a big smile on my face. So I'm going to piggyback off of what you're mentioning in here. But let's get this, the $5 super chat from Big Dog Pound. Thank you so much, my friend, for that support. Aries, you should have on the show more often. She is very articulate, and she got great enthusiasm, and
thank you.
She's got a great vibe, and I couldn't wait to get you out here because it was so much fun having you on the Market Show live just a couple weeks ago, I think it was. Great to have you one-on-one here.
Yes, well, it's wonderful to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, you can rest assured, Big Dog Pound, that Arnum will be more of a regular here on 6 Scale Cantina for sure. No, really enjoying this, and look, we've really just started. Okay, so listen.
Yes.
I know, you know me. Now I'm going to go off the deep end, but that music in the beginning, I'm gonna put some things up over here of some possibilities. I want to get back to, okay, all right. So let me put her on the screen again, because we'll have her up here. Okay. hunting down the Force sensitives in whatever way that they know, or they're getting intel from the Grand Inquisitor or from the Emperor to Darth Vader of Force sensitivity, whatever intel. We felt something here. We heard of this by the Outer Rim. We heard of this by this planet, by planet Alderaan. We heard of this, so on and so forth. So they're going after all the Force sensitives. And I would imagine all the Force sensitives that aren't with Palpatine and all the Force sensitives that aren't with Darth Vader, because there's the law of two that they have. Now hear me out here. Hear me out. This is, gosh, I mean, this is so far before still, like before A New Hope. Is it possible with that music in the beginning, when I first saw the nose of that ship, I thought it was on purpose, Ardom. I was saying, what the freak? Are they opening this up with Darth Maul? Because he's not dead yet in here, and I still suspect, because of how much Lucas has been vocal, that he wanted him in the sequels. But let's not get into that. I'm talking about for this time, or we can. But with this timeline, I have felt from the beginning, Ardom, and I'm going to flash this up. And this was for later in the show, but you and I are just having a grand time. Let's see if I can actually, if I have this image to go with what I am thinking here. I just, and I don't. No, I have it. Here it is. I mean, that's the music from there. I feel one of the whammies that they're going to throw when we're playing figures. Can you imagine having 3 Sith on the show? Darth Vader, the Emperor, which I do. I don't care what they say on them. Ian McDermott, I believe in his limited series, he's in there. It's gonna, if they tell you everything and then they don't deny it, there's no shock. Oh yeah, you're in there. Oh yeah, it's an old movie trick. I'm not saying he is. I just can't imagine them doing it, because I want to know more about Hayden Christensen as well. I want to know more about how he's dealing with, did he just automatically, oh yeah, forget about Padme, the Emperor's here now. I don't feel, after the scream of no, I don't feel that way anymore. No, garbage. I want to know, and I think he's going to get more influenced by the Emperor. But can you imagine Darth Maul, Emperor, and Darth Vader all in one freaking show? Go.
Yes, I can. And, what's interesting about all of this is, of course, we know that Maul loses favor of Palps. We know that. And so then there's like a separation. But before that, there wasn't one. I have to imagine that, he was looking forward to having him as his apprentice. What I find really interesting is the idea that from everything we've ever seen and read about Vader's time with Palps, it was a very precarious time for him from beginning to end. There was no relaxation. There was no sort of like necessarily joy and happy times. In fact, it seemed like every time he got sent on a mission, he was always put in like unnecessary danger. And I've seen where it's been relayed that, he was being tested and all this sort of stuff. And I thought to myself, I'm like, this is bullshit, man. How many times is he going to be tested? How many times does he have to go out there and prove himself? He's with the
strongest. Through this. Let's move on. I've already graduated. Let's go.
He's like one of the strongest Force users in the galaxy. And you feel that the fact of the matter is, I believe that Palps always believed that Vader was going to betray him in the end, not just because of the rule of 2 and wanting to overtake your master, but, perhaps there's something inside of Vader that he was holding back. So, he always felt very leery of him, always untrustworthy of him, but he always put him in these precarious situations where he would almost get killed, or, his ship almost exploded, or he almost, he'd get overwhelmed. I had mentioned the other day that time where he wanted to visit Padme's grave, and he got trapped in there, and Palps probably knew that if he went to do this, he'd get almost killed. There were so many circumstances where he just manages to get out, but boy, he has to struggle a lot. And I wonder, Aries, if Maul has to struggle at all, because Maul makes his whole life look effortless. You never see him complain about anything. He's kind of like, somewhat arrogant about his abilities, which seem incredibly natural. Maul was brought up as a dark force user from day one. So he's got to have the advantage with using the dark side of the force. It was part of his, everything about him, So I kind of think that the interpretation of people who were dark side users, but have been brought up, in that lifestyle from day one is very different than somebody who's converted over, like a convert, so to speak. You were a light side force user. You're not anymore. Now you're a dark side force user. Your approach to using the dark side is going to be very different from everybody else. And so, it's a question that I'm curious about. By far, Maul should be the superior dark force user if what we've seen of him, which is very impressive. And unfortunately, he loses this duel to Obi-Wan at some point later on. But what is my point? My point is I just find it very fascinating that Maul is the person who inevitably discovers that Luke is on Tatooine. And while it is a very sad moment, it was it was incredibly unsatisfying to see him die the way that he did. Like that was kind of like, a mercy kill or whatever you want to call it. But, certainly he had been planning all along to get onto the planet. So there he must have been going there, as we saw with that other fellow, Ezra. So Maul is active in this time. He's active. And clearly, things must be happening. I mean, at least that's how I see it.
I don't know. I'm laughing because I was gonna say while you were saying that, Maul was left for dead on the sands of Tatooine, which means absolutely nothing. We talk about that time after, but I guess we can talk about that a little bit later. No, I could see. Can you imagine, Aram, with this? I mean, just talking this through, because I've actually envisioned this, and start getting my heart racing, and I could feel the pulse of my body as I was thinking this through months ago. You get that epic scene of Darth Vader, Obi-Wan, Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor. They meet again. They're having this battle. You get all the music, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, freaking, can you imagine if it would be a holy frack moment to take a word out of the Battlestar Galactica universe. I'll say it again. A holy frack moment. If there is a time where those two are battling, and then there's Maul, and then there's like it would be like insane. They could go so many ways with this. Could you even imagine a moment where Vader and Obi-Wan had to team up for for just a minute to get Maul out of there, and he leaps out using his acrobatics, or whatever he's going to use. I mean, can you see something like this happening? Because I sure can.
I can, and perhaps it may not be Obi teaming up with Vader, but we definitely will see Vader put in a precarious situation, because that's his life. His life is going out on a ship on some kind of mission, and it's whatever he was told was going to happen is not going to happen. And he has to fight his way tooth and nail to survive out of these precarious situations, which he was put in on purpose. So that I'm pretty certain we're going to see something like that if they're going to focus on a story about Vader.
Yeah. Vader, and the fear, he's got to be getting to the point where he looks like this. I'm going to play this, okay? But he's got to be doing some things that get him to be feared like this.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
And I will actually go ahead and play this one.
Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, Director.
That's from Rogue One, right?
Yeah, that's from Rogue One. Just a little bit later, but eventually he gets to that point. Do you think we're going to get a lot of Darth Vader? I actually do think we're going to get Maul in this. We'll see. I think they'll keep it. There's been a lot of rumors that they got Ray Park for different projects or whatnot. I actually think they're going to tie him in during this timeline. I think it would be a big surprise, and they can certainly have a moment. And I don't know, maybe he could team up with Obi-Wan for a minute, could team up with Vader for a minute. For that reason, it could be where he stops the fight, because everyone's saying, how does Vader get to the point in A New Hope where he says, when we last met, I was but the learner. Now I am, and you were the master. Now I am the master. Maybe the fight he was losing, but we never really know who won, because a character like Maul, something happens to distract the battle that has them to separate. And it could be Maul or something like that. So I think we're in agreement on that. I think that music, let me just ask you this before I get into Vader. Does that music, because to me, I noticed a Duel of the Fates, but really, that is music really for Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul. I found it just really interesting that Deborah Chow, Disney, would pick that theme. I know we've used it. I think they used it on a Rise of Skywalker trailer, which was, I like, well, why are you using this on this? But I don't know. I don't feel like anything that they're doing right now is happenstance. Put it to you that way. What say you?
Well, I think that the Duel of the Fates was determining what was going to happen to Anakin, right? That
right. The
film was about Anakin, so perhaps there'll be another duel, of the Fates. But in this particular scenario, it'll be Luke. But they won't know that Luke is the focus of this whole, action, so to speak, and that he even exists. Which I'm still bewildered that Darth Vader does not know that Luke exists. I mean, it's a Jedi miracle. It's a it is a miracle. Does he know, Aries, that his son exists?
That is a really good question.
He seemed to know he was his dad by Empire Strikes Back. He seemed pretty comfortable with the notion of it.
I would think he's, and that's a good point on the Duel of the Fates, because I guess I always related to, that's the scene of one of the greatest lightsaber scenes ever. But you're right, it's the Duel of the Fates. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Is this a series where he finds out that he has children, but doesn't say anything? I mean,
I think he has to hide his feelings from the Emperor.
Yes. So perhaps he has
there you go.
Stealth like Palps has. I mean, that's one of his strongest abilities, was to hide the fact that he had the ability to use a Force. I think that's what the Force stealth ability. And perhaps Vader has it. We're not aware of it until now.
It's a really interesting thing, because I want to get into some other characters. You bring up a really interesting point. I think maybe, is it possible with this series, Artem, that we find out that Darth Vader knows that the Emperor is not his friend, that he knows that eventually he would ditch him, just like he ditched Maul, just like he ditched Count Dooku. Does he know this? Is there something that Darth Vader is hiding? And I want to bring this up. I'm going to play this because everyone's been wanting to fill this guy up. Let me fill him up on table 5. But he just jumped over to table 88. And at 88, he has these fellas following him.
And he's so scared. His little face is so scared of what's going to happen to him. And he doesn't understand. And he's probably thinking, I thought this couldn't happen here. Wait a minute. What's going on? He's just seeing the lightsaber flashes and the reflections of his big old eyes. Oh, God.
I know. And we'll play that again during this show. Because,
okay, good.
That's what we play at table 88. But I was waiting. I was holding back. It was rough. It was rough, Artem, to not play that clip until now here on the Aries Terrington Show. Look, there are 501sts in that clip. That's during Order 66. Mm-hmm. One theory that I have, and we'll get into Mace, But let's get into the Anakin theory, and it could be a dual whammy here. One of the things that Anakin was hitting home with Padme about is, come away with me, Padme. This is my new empire. I'm going to rule. Vader's all, but I'm going to rule this. I'm going to ditch the Emperor. Well, who's going to be his apprentice? I think he knows he wasn't going to have Padme be a Sith Lord. Okay, so that wasn't going to happen. Then who the heck was going to be his apprentice? And who knows the kind of animosity, which I believe that him and Mace Windu had, which is why Mace never believes in him. I think that Mace thought maybe someone else possibly was the chosen one or whatever. And we could get into that, whether it was Rey, whether it was supposed to be Luke, or who was the chosen one, or it wasn't like that. But we have to consider Grogu now, because I don't think that there is a scenario, because now everybody's hyped up on Grogu. But forget about the people, the casual fans, who are so hyped up, because that last episode of Book of Boba Fett was up 36% from the freaking last episode, I don't know, of The Mandalorian season 2. It's a craze for the casual fans, but with Grogu, he's now carrying Emperor type stuff, clone troopers with him. Oh yeah, if you're gonna, please show him. If you're gonna show me, if you're gonna show me Rex, or you're gonna show me this, or you're gonna show me that. Can you imagine if Anakin had something to do with taking Grogu out? Because, like, the Emperor, I'm going to keep him for me. It's a possibility, something there. And that could be something we learn. Yeah.
And he's the only Sith that we saw enter in with everybody else, right? I mean, we don't really see anybody else who's Sith-like in the film. And in the comics, I don't think there's a bunch of other Sith Lords going in there, except for some other, let's say, Jedi Temple people who were there, who are now turning over to the dark side, that were never 100% comfortable with the light side anyway. But he's the only one kind of like going in there, gangbusters with, blowing up the walls, shooting everybody, cutting up stuff. He's the one who's kind of infiltrating and setting the tone. And everybody else who comes in is like kind of pillaging the place for stuff, right? So by that time, anybody who wasn't already alive is dead now, or anybody who is going to flee and survive is gone. So when Anakin goes in, he's the one who sees everybody who's remaining. No one, after he gets in there and after he leaves, there are no living Jedi who either haven't already turned over to the dark side or who haven't already fled. So with that statement, he's the only one who was there, unless someone who fled took Grogu with them. But what kind of influence could someone in the dark side have by training somebody who's going to live for 900 years to use the dark side? That influence would go on for a millennia. The person would outlive you, Grogu would outlive you, but your influence, and perhaps he could, I don't know, somehow keep you alive in some way, and they're trying to figure this stuff out, which is what they've been indicating in the story.
Wow.
There's a lot of implications, like a dark side Yoda or a dark side Grogu, would be a true contender and quite terrifying. But the impact it would have on poor little Grogu to have to use the dark side, and we know he was in a dark place. It's something to think about. I don't think the dark place was just him hiding out. And I don't think it was just them experimenting on him either. I think he was probably, maybe in captivity of the Empire for a while, and then someone rescued him.
I don't know. You got me tingling. I'm tingling. I've got tingles and goosebumps when you're talking about that. Thank you so much, Ashley Chase, with the $7.99 drop super sticker. Much appreciate that. And thank you for the support. Yeah, you got me having goosebumps down there, because I think everybody would go insane if we saw, can you imagine if he had Grogu in a place, whether it's, who knows, in his castle, okay, or it could be on his ship. I don't think it would be on the ship, because I don't think the Emperor would know. Perhaps, maybe, I don't know. It's so intricate. But I don't see a scenario where they don't tie this in, because this is the perfect opportunity to go back and talk about Order 66 when it comes to this series. Going back to the history and some things, I think there'll be flashbacks of, Obi-Wan and Hayden Christensen. Wouldn't it be freaking phenomenal if we take that vision that Grogu was having that I just played, and we get the other part of it, or the other piece of it from a different angle? And we're like, oh my goodness, this is coming together. We just got another piece to the puzzle. I think we would start, and again, it's a limited series that is not anywhere close, Arnhem, to the Boba Fett and Mandalorian timeline, but yet promotes those shows.
Yes, it certainly does. And it is something to think about. Of course, Grogu was born the same year that Anakin was. And so, there is a possibility that he plays a role in all of this somehow, as you suggested. So, yes, it would be very interesting.
Well, we talked about, we talked about a mentor. So now I'm going to play this clip for you because I think you're going to know where I'm going. So maybe Anakin was either trying to kill Grogu, or maybe he was like, no, keep that one. I got plans. You brought up a very, very good point. He's very young. He can maybe prolong his life, so on and so forth. Anakin had his plans. Darth Vader had his plans outside of the Emperor's plans for sure. But at the same time, concurrently, I'm going to play this.
In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you're under arrest, Chancellor.
Are you threatening me, Master Jedi?
The Senate will decide your fate.
I am the Senate.
Not yet.
Now, I don't expect him to show up in this series, Sam Jackson. I mean, you never know. I thought, there was a pop, we were all talking, maybe he could show up in Boba Fett. And this is more of a cinematic event, I feel like, too. But I feel like you talked about a mentor. I don't know. I mean, is this a series where he actually knows that he's not alone and he's trying to find Yoda, and he comes in contact because they're hunting all these Jedi? Does this fit better to kind of broach this subject in this series versus the last one? I just want to get your thoughts on it.
You mean Mace Windu coming back?
Coming back, or being mentioned, or going in that scene, even if they flashed back there and we see something that looks like him or to that effect, and they don't show no more. I feel like this would almost be a more appropriate series to kind of like, oh, wait a minute, how is that tying in? What does he have to do with Grogu? Because maybe they're going to explore more of that animosity. Maybe Darth Vader himself is going to talk about, I was always having trouble. The Jedi are this, the Jedi are that. Mace, Master Windu never believed in me, never believed in this. Now I am the Dark Lord. I don't know. What say you? What do you think?
Well, Mace Windu comes from, a strong line of Jedis. I mean, he from his planet, there was this, the ship that crashed of Jedis, and they were the descendants or ancestors of Mace Windu and the people on his planet. So, it's a very unusual melange of people that created the scenario of let's say, Mace Windu. And Mace Windu also has this ability to use, like, his force power is to kind of like either take the dark force power, I can't remember what it is, take the dark force power and manipulate it against the person who's trying to use it against him. I could kind of have that mixed up a little bit, but I think that he is maybe the Jedi that, Palp's most feared. But I mean, I know it looks like Palp's lost on purpose just to lure Anakin in, but I have a feeling that Mace probably could have killed him if Anakin were not there. At least I think so. But he needs to be out of the picture for some reason, maybe because he would be the last stronghold to keep the Jedi Order alive. And, like, his defeat kind of, symbolizes the idea that the Jedi Order is fallen. So if you reintroduce Mace, the Jedi Order isn't fallen. Mace is not going to go ahead and change his mind and say, I'm not a Jedi anymore. Like, that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So, he's going to have to find somebody else who has that same belief and pick up where they left off. It's just that with the Empire being so suppressive, I would honestly see him going back to the planet that he grew up in, if he could, there's no reason to kind of emerge at this point now, when, you know, the Empire is so strong. I mean, what is the purpose for coming out right now? Like, why would you, knowing very well that, you know, you may just end up getting killed, or, you know, they'll discover other people and they'll be in danger because you can't protect them. I mean, Ahsoka herself, you know, is kind of like, I wouldn't say hiding out, but in the book, Ahsoka, you know, she's kind of like in a place where the Empire is trying to encroach upon people, kind of like what's happening, I guess, maybe in Tatooine here. And even she has to kind of lay low and, you know, pretend to be just an ordinary person. But, you know, at each simple point, like when she has a ship and then she doesn't have one, and then has to kind of figure out what she's going to do from point A to point B, and then she discovers a person who is a Force user. I mean, that would be the normal, you know, circumstance of things, is that if she were just roaming free and things were not in this stressful situation, her life would be very different. But for people who were raised in the temple, I think that this is a nightmare for them. This is like nightmare mode, you know, like
Yes.
you're playing a video game and this is like, you know, nightmare mode on the video game for them, because, you know, they weren't prepared for this. And this is truly not anything that most of them can survive. And they don't. Most of them do not survive this nightmare that's been put in front of them. So if anybody can survive, I think it would be Mace, but I don't see him making an appearance. I really don't. So do I think he could have saved Grogu? Yes, but I don't think that he wants to put himself in the forefront of these battles right now.
No, that's a good point. And I think that is possible that he could have been the one who saved Grogu, or maybe there was a race between Anakin and between Mace to get Grogu, because maybe that was you know, that was Cinderella to Anakin, or you know, whatever to Mace. You know, Lane puts this super chat says, sorry, Aries, you can't save Mace Pancake. Listen, I'm going to take Proper 66 and pour it all over your pancakes, baby, because Darth Maul got cut in half. He got cut in half and fell down the freaking Empire State Building. And all that happened to Mace, he fell out a window. Come on. He got his hand cut off.
Mace probably went to Bail Organa's house, you know, or wherever he's staying. And that's where I would go to if I were Mace. I would go there, or, you know, and I'm sure Bail would find a way to get them out of there. Although he wasn't on the ship with them when they were leaving Coruscant, or at least I think that's the order of what was going on. I have a feeling we know that Mace wanted to help more Jedi because, we know that Bail wanted to help more Jedi because he showed up at the temple and wanted to see what was going on, you know, and I'm sure he wasn't the only person who did that. I'm sure there were a lot of people who went there and they got killed. But, you know, it turns out that Bail managed to sort of get out by the skin of his teeth, so to speak. You know, thank goodness. Sorry, Bail.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I am so stoked to see Jimmy Smits in this series. And welcome everybody in here who's coming into the Aries Terrington Show here on a Wednesday evening with my special guest from Positive Fandom. Our is in the house, and we didn't plan to have these Entertainment Weekly Obi-Wan photos out today. And we certainly didn't plan for this trailer, baby. Come on. I mean, are you kidding me? But let me flash some images on the screen here, because this is like, I want to go back to this picture, or a different one now. So they're going to be hunting down. I think it's going to be, is it possible it's still going to be very emotional? Remember how emotional the music, I could hear it in my head now. You know, during the end of Revenge of the Sith, is it still going to be that vibe, or is this going to be more like a action thriller, like 24, or like a Battlestar Galactica at this point, where we're just trying to, like you mentioned, zombie apocalypse? I actually think that's a great analogy there. And bringing her back up, we talked about Maul because he is a Force sensitive, and he's not necessarily on Darth Vader's side, or is he? He's certainly not on the Emperor's side, for sure. But I think we're going to see that Vader has some, you know, it's going to be interesting, his feelings, his relationship with the Emperor, which is why I really think the Emperor will be in here. And we'll have to see. But when you talk about other characters, here is an opportunity to promote another one. I'm going to bring this character up onto the screen because we talked about Grogu, and certainly a great opportunity now to tie it in. What about her? Because I know you mentioned but they're going to be hunting everyone that they can. Are we going to get some information on what was going on with her during this time? Do you think that could happen?
She's still so young when this is going on, and I think I believe she's going to lay low. I think that she may have after Ben went and changed the message at the Jedi Temple about what was going on, and she may have heard of that. Of course, she's not a Jedi anymore, but she is a Force user and citizen, as she liked to describe herself. But she has friends with the clones, or some of the clones that might have had their chips removed, or that still survived. So she may have made some contacts through the universe to try and get out. I think she's in a much better place than she was right after she left the Order. But had she not jumped on this, offer from Bo-Katan to help Mandalore, I think she'd be in a very bad spot, because she kind of needed to, be around these soldiers, even though they turned on her. She still was around resources that she didn't have, because she kind of like left with, a purse with like, $20 in it. She didn't have anything. And at some point, like, what do you do? And she was in a bad way. She was actually in a bad way. Kind of like trying to figure out, let me pick up something and find my way to get out of this mess. She didn't have a plan. And so that gave her a plan and a way to kind of focus on things. But it also meant that she knew that she could, on her own, even not being a Jedi, still fight a cause if she wanted to. So it gave her, that, let's say season 7 gave her the knowledge that she could be an independent leader away from, the Jedi, so to speak. And even when they turned on her, she could survive that. She survived at the end, buried everybody there. So she knew that when that whole thing happened, and she felt, Order 66 happened, and when Anakin was killing everybody, that she would have to kind of lay low. And, she's going to have to do that maybe for a long time. And we see in the books that she does that. So she's not a fool. She's not going to go ahead and rock the boat, but she does what she can when she can. And I don't see her interfering on Tatooine right now.
Very, very, very interesting. Yes. So I'm going to, So you think that she may be mentioned or maybe in here, or no? Your final?
I don't think so. I don't get the feeling that she will be. I think that she wouldn't want to have to encounter an Inquisitor right now. I think she can see the writing on the wall, maybe better than anyone else, because she was light years away from everyone when the attack came on her. And she had an advantage because she was sort of like on the ship, and the way that the ship was arranged, she could kind of escape it. But had that crash not happened, she might have been dead. This was all the circumstances that worked out in her favor were somewhat very lucky. She got very lucky in her regard. She still had to fight her way out, but it was luck that made her survive this whole thing. And I don't think that she feels her luck. She's not going to chance it again.
Very, very interesting. Well, let me ask you this, Artem. I'm going to go to a different character here. I'm actually going to go back to Obi-Wan, and I want to ask you if you think that
Yours truly, the Hot Toys Wizard. Today, I have disguised myself once again as Pastrik. But why have I disguised myself? Because I am at the Hot Toys warehouse now as we speak. I'm about to sneak in the back door, hopefully not get spotted, and I'm going to find out what releases we might be seeing this week. Oh crap. I'll have to get back to you soon. I got spotted, so I'm going to let you go, but I'll get this information to you soon.
That was amazing.
Oh my goodness gracious! It kind of fits, right, with the whole Obi-Wan and they're hunting. They're on recon to find the Jedi, and then you have the Hot Toys Wizard on the hunt to try and find out where these releases are, and taking on the likeness of Patestrick from the channel Patestrick. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to Patestrick. I hope he's feeling okay. But that's actually, while he's on the move over there, it looks like we have a comment. I love it. I love that. I love it, love it, love it. I'm gonna put this up because it looks like right in tandem. We got the interruption with the Hot Toys Wizard, and then 808 says this: not hijack the conversation. Well, you're not hijacking it at all. The Hot Toys Wizard just interrupted myself mid-sentence. But the Clone Wars Ahsoka Tano, speaking of Ahsoka, will be arriving in batches to Sideshow in a couple of weeks. Phone conversation earlier today with CSP, customer service for Sideshow. Wow. So maybe that's what the Hot Toys Wizard was doing there. I don't know. I'm trying to get in, those warehouses there to find out Ahsoka. It's been so long. It feels like I'm waiting 8,922 years for this figure.
Yeah, that was a huge misstep on their part. They really missed up on huge sales for this one, especially during Clone Wars Season 7. That should have been a big selling time for them. And, they should have completely sold out. And, we all should have had, her on the shelf by now. It's really too bad. And of course, the irony is that they came out with an additional figure for Ahsoka, in, let's say, The Mandalorian subsequently as well, but not to have the Clone War Ahsoka by now. They could have done a little better job, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They could have done a better job. And let's put this up. That's going to be great news there, 808. I'm waiting any minute for that, that whatever it is, unsealed, revealed, or the first video, the Hot Toys official final production photos. But putting this up on here, Big Dog Pound, LOL, over the Hot Toys Wizard interrupting the show. Joe P goes, I love the baby added on to the end of the emergency interruption. Well, you hear that, Hot Toys Wizard? Whoever and wherever you are, obviously you're entertaining people. So keep that up. Shout out to Patestrick, goes Big Dog Pound. Andrew F is rolling over. And then the UK Sif goes, hello both and everyone else watching. Welcome in here. What conspiracy theories in the Hot Toys Wizard casting today? Well, we just got an interruption, and apparently he didn't say anything there. I don't know. He was trying to get into the warehouse, but it looks like him and 808 are on the same page. So that's really funny. But going on to the next thing, and let's see if I've got this. We talked about Ahsoka. Here's one that's interesting to me because there's history at this time with the Emperor and Darth Vader, because and Grand Moff Tarkin. And I'm not suggesting Grand Moff Tarkin, although I do think it's possible. I do think it's possible that we can get perhaps a cameo of a CGI of Grand Moff Tarkin and possibly a younger version of Peter Cushing, like we got at the very end of Revenge of the Sith. But during that whole time, supposedly, and let's see if I have this here, because I got to set the table up. I'm going to flash this on the screen. There is a fleet that is, that Grand Admiral Thrawn is in charge of. Now, I don't know how this would fit in, but him and Vader have an interesting, I think, a tumultuous history. I don't know. I actually think that it wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea to have a cameo of him or perhaps introduce him during this time, but I don't know. It's interesting to me. Probably not, and I don't think so. But I think that there is a lot of lore, right? That, obviously Grand Admiral Thrawn is around. during this time. Vader is building the Death Star right now. He's observing that with Tarkin, but you also have Thrawn out with the other fleet, right?
Yes, and it's a good question. I always thought Thrawn was gonna show up in Ahsoka's series because she's looking for him, and
For
I
sure.
think that they will reserve him for that series. He's a fantastic character, and he hasn't let me down yet. I mean, he's just such a concentrated, calculating individual who is actually pretty scary to me. I wouldn't want to ever cross his path, and I could see how he might clash with Vader, but he's just so valuable to the Empire. I don't think they would do anything to jeopardize the relationship between Thrawn and the Empire. They need him to continuing to conquer different places and put the fear of God into everybody. So, I just have to assume that they'll stay out of each other's way, so to speak, as far as I'm concerned. But what
Even
I was
a mention of him.
I'm sorry.
Even a mention of him, right? Like the fact that, because like there's a lot of lore that he knew Anakin before he turned into Darth Vader. And maybe when he's conversing with somebody, or even like having someone say Lord Vader, Grand Admiral Thrawn's fleet mentioned something, just hearing that, it would be like, oh crap, I
A
don't
little
know.
Easter egg would be nice. Yes.
Yes. But I do think you're right. I think they will reserve, because I don't necessarily know if they've casted him yet, but you reserve this big reveal for the Ahsoka series, right? Because they're going to be anticipating, when are we going to see him? When are we going to see him? What is he going to look like? But I hope we get some type of Easter egg, or even some mentioning of when he's like maybe talking to the Emperor about he's saying, well, by the way, Grand Admiral Thrawn is doing this, and maybe there's some animosity. I don't know. He's succeeding doing this. Did you find all the Jedi? I don't know. I think that would be pretty neat, actually.
I think it would, and I think he could probably have his own series if done correctly. If they based it, let's say, on the books that are about Thrawn, perhaps. That's what I personally would like to see more than anything else. And I don't know if Vader, or I don't even know all the other main characters in the books. It's been so long since I've read them or listened to them, but Thrawn deserves his own series.
Oh, that would be. We're not even. And I want to get back into the third sister. Okay, I want to get back into the Inquisitors here.
Yes,
but,
yes.
We're not even. I know I mentioned this before, but we keep, and obviously we're just so excited about the Obi-Wan series. We're not even talking about a movie. A movie's not out. A movie has not been out since Rise of Skywalker. There's not a movie in sight that we can even see. Maybe we got to hear from the Hot Toys Wizard on when we're actually going to get the first Star Wars movie. First of all, I'm kind of glad. I don't know what your thoughts are, because I've mentioned this to people before on my channel. I'm actually glad we don't have a movie. I feel like I'm not ready for a movie. I feel like the fandom's not ready. I feel like we got repair to do. And right now, this is so awesome. I'm kind of like super satisfied with all this stuff. But we're getting all this buzz and all this Star Wars hype and people coming into Star Wars without even a movie to back it up.
Yeah, I think that, honestly, Aries, there have been many projects announced that we have not seen come to fruition. And it seems like the movie is the one that's the hardest for them to accomplish. And, and I understand why the amount of effort and planning for the movie, far surpasses a TV series as far as I'm concerned. But, I think that, going forward, well, what movie would they make? This is another question. I still kind of like Finn as a character, and I always thought that he should have been the focus of the sequels, but we never got that. And he was the innovative character in the group because he was a stormtrooper, and then he suddenly has a potential to be a Force user. So that was very interesting. But if I had to choose the title or the story for a movie right now, it would be how the rule of two came about. And, it's like, I think that would be a very interesting movie or trilogy or however they'd want to do it. And I think that, it would be unforgiving and really nice to get something from the dark side point of view for a change.
Yeah, no, that would be. I'll have to start brewing now for that to get like the Rule of Two movie that you're talking about. I mean, I'm so stoked for a lot of this stuff. I think that they're planning something that, from the Knights of the Old Republic, and I know that there's huge rumors as well about episodes 10, 11, and 12, which it looks like it's pretty strong that they're doing it, and we'll go ahead and get into that a little bit here, actually, with you, which I think will be a lot of fun with some of these rumors and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that they're not ready, and honestly, Grogu has become such a worldwide phenomenon from a television show, and they have to do it right. They really, really, really do. And we're talking about. I'm looking so forward to the Acolyte. I hope we learn more at Celebration about that. But I want to put this back up on the screen here, and okay, so she looks incredible.
Yes,
we're gonna get an Inquisitor, and I really feel. And this could be related to. I mean, first of all, can you imagine this hot toy? I mean, because
Yes.
I think she's going to come with the helmet. I think she's going to wear the helmet. But can you?
Oh, you don't think it's going to come with a head sculpt?
No. I think it's going to come with this head sculpt, and I think she'll have a helmet too. I think it'll have a helmet too, and I'll put up this shot. Let's see if I actually have it here where I'm going with this, and. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, we can look at that. Yeah,
Yes.
you see what's next to her.
Yeah, that looks like it's from Jedi Fallen Order. I could be wrong. It may not be, but it reminds me of Jedi Fallen Order.
Right. And I think
is it? Jedi
yes,
Fallen?
I think it is.
Okay.
Do you think she could have a helmet like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's I think that that's the second sister, right?
Yes.
I think the second sister was one of the most intimidating Inquisitors I've ever seen, and we got to know her. A little bit, and the story was compelling, and she was just incredible character. And I'm hoping that third sister is maybe something like that as well. So that's the level that we're hoping for. I'm hoping for that. She's got to be able to use her lightsaber, but also be intimidating. And I'm looking forward to a bunch of intimidation, Aries. A whole lot of intimidation.
Yeah, me too. And 808 says, where to go here? Here's a comment. Grogu is the new Mickey Mouse.
Well, I do want to say something about Grogu, Aries. And Aries, you probably already know that I am a Grogu super fan.
Me too.
And so, I don't want them. I want the best for Grogu. I love Grogu and I want the best for Grogu. And I don't want him to be exploited in any way. I want him to have, life isn't all, hearts and flowers, but I also, want him to be, have a realistic view of life and to be happy. And I kind of envisioned that he would be with Luke for about 5 years or so, kind of like learn all the ropes, because Luke has all those books. He has all those books on how to be, use the Force and different things that I feel like Grogu needs to learn about. And it's okay for him to learn these things and to go to school like everyone else. And I know he's gone to school for 20 years already, but, he needed a little bit more school to kind of get to know the universe and find out what's been going on since that time. So as far as I'm concerned, he needed to just stay there just a little bit longer. The Mandalorian would have still been around. He'd still be alive. We wouldn't have had to worry about any of that. But, and Din at the same time, I felt could have gone to visit him while he was learning and perhaps learned how to use the Darksaber from Luke. And so I kind of thought there might have been this mutual exchange, so to speak. Din would visit him on Father's Day or on, like summer vacations with Din, things like that. why not? And whatever holidays they celebrate, I can't remember what holiday that is if they celebrate at the end of the year, but that, that happy Star Wars Day that they celebrate. And Grogu would see him for those, but all the while, Din would be learning how to use the Darksaber with Luke, because Luke knows how to use the Force, as well as sabers that may be or fueled by a Force type of energy, so to speak. If it has a crystal in there, I'm not even quite sure if there is one, but a kyber crystal in there. But my point being that that's how I envisioned it. And then, go ahead and do a time jump. It's 5 years later. Grogu has returned, but it feels like he just got there. And, I'm like, he kind of dropped out of school. This is something that I was really concerned about. And I'm still kind of deliberating over and very concerned about, for Grogu's development as, a happy child and a happy adult. So that's how I look at Grogu, in addition to the fact that he has become even more important in the storyline as time has gone on. But I thought his level of importance would increase 30 years from now, not, sort of like, yesterday.
Well, you bring up an interesting point. I'm glad that you broached this, and welcome everybody to the Aries Terrington Show.
Hey.
My special guest, Positive Fandom, and we're having just a blast. So I'm here to make your evening, because it's a possible still what you were hoping for could happen. And I say yes. Now, here's what I think. I think they purposely didn't show you the answer he gave Luke, because Favreau and Filoni don't want you to know. It didn't exactly. I personally believe this is what happened. We'll see if I'm right. I think he chose both, or something, or someone interrupted their conversation, because Grogu wants every egg. He doesn't just want one. He wants this. He wants that. And Tar Vizsla, listen, I believe a lot about balance, a lot about yin and yang, and a lot about comes full circle. And I really believe that he could be a Jedi and he can be a Mandalorian. And you bring up a very good point. He's still a kid, even though he's 50 years old. Let him go to school. Let him continue to learn. Let him go to college. Let him go to med school or whatever it is he's going to go after. He's busy, he almost choked Cara Dune out. And so Din can't teach him the Force. Let's just be honest. All right. So he needs someone to kind of help and guide him, like all us young people do. Yes, I'm still young, maybe at heart, to kind of help cultivate some of this power, because with great power comes great responsibility. So I really think that they're going to explore that. There's actually a huge rumor. And these rumors were coming from where a lot of the stuff in the Book of Boba Fett actually came to pass, that Luke and Din Djarin team up in The Mandalorian season 3. That Din Djarin goes back to Luke to say, hey, what is this Darksaber? This is what's going on. And he actually gives him a history lesson of the Darksaber and actually starts training him a little bit. Apparently, with this rumor, there's a part of the show where Ahsoka goes with where Grogu goes with Ahsoka for a time being to be watched while Luke and frickin' the Mando go out. And then eventually what's going to happen is there's an understanding somehow that he can be both, because his destiny is unique and cannot be prevented by Luke's beliefs or the armorer's beliefs. I don't know. It's really good BS if it's just a bad rumor. Well, what did Alec Baldwin say in Pearl Harbor? That's BS, but it's really good BS. But you know what? I mean, I could see something like this, because again, they played that clip, which was so cute to see Grogu's eyes, like, oh my God, the 501st. Not because he chose Mando, no more Luke. Oh, we're not going to see any more clips of 501st. I just don't see it. I think that there's something we didn't know.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting that they chose not to show Anakin, knowing very well that he entered with the 501st into the temple. So I'm like, well, why didn't they show him? And it's no one can seem to explain it, and it feels like it's a missing part of the puzzle, if you will. So what's going on there? However, then I started to wonder, well, Jedi can move very fast, and if Darth Vader can move so quickly that it looks like he's gliding, maybe that's what we were witnessing. He moved too fast for our mere, non-Force user eyes, or too fast for Grogu to notice, so to speak.
Do you? So it's kind of funny. I know, and I agree with you that with Grogu. Do you feel in your gut that Anakin, well, Darth Vader, knows where Grogu is or knows of him?
Yes.
Yeah,
he knows everything because he has all the records from the Jedi Temple.
Oh, okay. Do you think he knows he's alive, or kind of knows? Do you think he knows he's alive, or knows where he is?
I do, because I think they're going to use a holocron. I think he's gotten a few holocrons and uses them on a regular basis to locate different things, or locate temples somewhere, and then he gets more information. I do think that he has more information than he's even telling Palps. So yes.
All right. So I promised you I would play this again. So let's play it, because that way everyone knows what we're talking about here. I know. He's so awesome. And here's the thing that I liked, and I know we're talking about the Obi-Wan series. What I really enjoyed what they did in the last episode of the Book of Boba Fett, which gave me a lot of hope. Because one thing I didn't want them to do is give us so much Grogu where the real hardcore fans are, it's like, oh man, it's too much. You hardly noticed he was in my view, Chapter 7. He was in there about as much as R2 was, I feel like, in the other shows. As much as BB-8 was. It's like, oh, okay, BB-8's there, we know. Kids are happy. Oh, okay, R2-D2's there. Okay, kids are happy. I felt that was the first time. I'm like, look, if you're going to give us 501st like that, and you're going to give us this whopper story with Anakin, and you're going to tie things in together, and the Mandalorian could go kick ass, and you're just going to have him in there like R2 and not oversaturate me with him, because it was a lot less, actually, than what was in the Mandalorian. I'm all for this. I think they almost got an ingenious recipe. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, Aries, can you imagine what would have happened if that scene had Anakin Skywalker in it?
They had this.
What would have
Should I pour this over myself live? Because that would happen.
Oh my God. I think I probably would have, I don't know, had to sit down and just be like, Anakin Skywalker was there.
And is it possible that Favreau and Filoni know that Aram would do that? And
yes,
I say,
yes, they know. They know I would.
and I'm telling you, I have a sneaking suspicion that probably Grogu, because it ties in. It ties in that they're trying to tell us a story about the 501st. The 501st, the Order 66, what's happening now to Obi-Wan and Darth Vader after Order 66. Order 66, in a way, is still being executed because they're still hunting down Jedi. To me, it just seems like it makes sense. Well, what the heck happened with Grogu? And obviously, Vader has to be aware of that Force presence. Maybe he's actually disguising it from the Emperor, because it'd be interesting to see. The Emperor's pretty Force sensitive, right? Like extremely.
And
how can that be hidden from him?
I don't think that he could hide it from the Emperor, because the Emperor knows that his species, that the Yoda species, are very Force sensitive. Mm-hmm. So no, I don't think he could hide it. He must have been hidden somehow in the temple. I don't know how. Or maybe the Emperor knows of his existence. And of course, people have speculated that he was experimented on by the Empire at some point. But, it is fascinating to figure it out. Perhaps he was experimented in the Empire by someone who was trying to usurp Palpatine. And, maybe they didn't want Palpatine to have all this sort of Force power, and figure they could use Grogu to become more powerful than Palps, and then take over. So Anakin might fit into that category, I guess, if that was his ultimate goal. Not that he had the time to do anything like that, but I suppose it's possible.
Well, I have to refill table 66, which is a very dangerous table. So that's going to go into what we're talking about here. Let me play this clip to refill table 66.
Good, Anakin, good. Good.
man, that was Ian McDiarmid killed Revenge of the Sith.
I could never be a dark side user because as soon as someone had told me that using the dark side to such an extent that my face would be destroyed, it's game over. I'm like, fuck the dark side. I'm never using that stuff. I'm not going to look like that. It ain't ever going to happen. So you can see where my priorities are. But I think it's very interesting that Palps looks like a normal person. That was what was so interesting about him, is that he looks like a normal person, but he isn't. He truly is a monster.
Yes, and what a chilling monster he is. So let me ask you this. I think we're both anticipating something with Grogu in here, and perhaps tying into the show. Are we going to get Ian McDiarmid in here? I mean, the reason I really want him in here is not so much for the fan service. I want to see interaction between him and Darth Vader, because they left it off where it was like, it appears in your anger that you killed her, and that he yelled out, no, that whole thing. I'd love to see more of the mind games that Palpatine may be throwing at Vader, and not just Vader going, don't choke on your own aspirations. I mean, that would be cool too. I want to see some of his struggle. But I don't know. Do you think we're going to see the Emperor in here?
Well, he seems to pop up whenever there's a power struggle and, his power is at stake. So, like when you mentioned that there might be some sort of fight that, Obi-Wan and Vader have to team up on against Mace. I don't think it would be ideal for the Emperor to pop in there, but, perhaps at some other time he might have to pop in when Vader is trying to do something that he doesn't want him to do, like he's going to send him messages. He's constantly sending him messages. So, we know we're at least going to see like maybe a hologram of the Emperor, which is enough to scare anybody to death. Because it seems like no matter where, Vader goes, he can always get a message from this guy. And, he's like the biggest micromanager in the galaxy. But I think at the very least, we might see a hologram of Palpatine, in that regard.
And then I would spill my coffee if we get just that. That would be absolutely awesome. You're all watching the Aries Terrington Show on a Wednesday evening. My special guest, from Positive Fandom, and we are just spilling coffee. We're drinking spatchka. We're drinking all the wizard juice here today. And of course, we've got the wizard sugar. Come on. That kind of helps. I've been hearing these stories. I don't know what your opinion is. Sometimes with some people, when they, the Hot Toys wizard takes on their likeness, they get like sick or they feel different. But then I get other people that are like, I feel great, or I feel like I'm high, or I feel, so I don't know. It's real interesting. I've personally never been taken over by the Hot Toys wizard. So I don't know why. I kind of feel like left out. Like he sometimes returns my calls, interrupts my show, but won't take on my likeness.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I think the Hot Toys wizard is very special and a lot of fun to see every once in a while, especially when the Hot Toys wizard gives us a tip like what we heard tonight, with the possibility of there being some Ahsoka figures in that sideshow warehouse. So I'm kind of curious as to whether or not they're actually in there.
Yeah, me too. And it looks like the Hot Toys wizard, with the likeness of Patestrick, working in tandem with 808 Michigan Jedi. Goodness gracious. So Dutch has a plan, gives us the $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Dutch.
Dutch, thank you.
I want to see Chemsin Dola in the Obi series. What do you think?
Is that the child of
what's her name? I think the Twilight.
She
right?
has green.
Yeah, I think so.
Leku, green Leku.
I think so. I'm not sure.
It'd be nice, but could we? Yeah, I suppose we could. Yeah,
that's actually a good question with this. Like, what Jedi do you think we're going to obviously see Jedi, right? Like, what is your opinion?
I want to see Cal Kestis. I kind of,
Yeah.
it's true he was in the video games and maybe it's a little corny, but I feel like he would fit in good in this series because he's probably the best example of the average Jedi fleeing from the Empire, who had a little bit of training, not a whole lot, but a little bit of training. And he's managed to kind of like survive, undetected for a little while. And then, of course, there's a slip up and it's detected and now he's on the run. And I think that his story is perhaps maybe the most realistic of those who are still alive now in the galaxy. Mm-hmm. So somebody like him would be great to see.
That would be awesome.
It would be great if it was
in the video game.
Yeah, it would be great if his story kind of continued on through this series. We already saw one of the droids that he had. It's not the exact same droid, but we saw it in the Book of Boba Fett. I don't remember the name of the droid, but it was a similar one that Cal Kestis had used in the video game. So, I thought, wow, that's quite an Easter egg. Maybe it's a sign. So we'll see.
We'll see. Thank you so much for that super chat. People having fun in here.
Thank you.
Bob's figures. When the force is strong with the individual, the wizard doesn't mesh with them. Makes them when the force is strong.
See, is it the dark side of the forces? I don't want the dark side of the forces. I told you I don't like the distortion that it does.
No, so. you got to get the dark Jedi vibe going there. I could kind of endorse the dark Jedi. You're kind of like not Sith, and you're kind of like not Jedi. You're just kind of like spilling your coffee and having a good time. But listen, 808 Michigan Jedi says it wouldn't surprise me if I was talking to the wizard on the phone earlier. No, bringing this back up, you bring up a great point. Video game. We could finally get Cal Kestis. Let me ask you this. What about these Purge Troopers? Because we didn't get very many troopers in the Boba Fett series, but I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to get some stormtroopers in here. And I know that a lot of one of the figures that a lot of Hot Toys collectors are looking forward to is an Airborne Trooper, which they already teased during the dark times of The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, where no one really wanted to make anything Star Wars. But if they go ahead and make a figure for a trooper, with this in that they already have, this prototype kind of done, I actually think we're going to see Purge Troopers in here. What do you think?
We're definitely getting more troopers. I mean, that's a given. And you can't go wrong with the troopers. And and I understand that there are different types of troopers. I didn't think that I would like the, I can't remember the type of trooper, but the remnant troopers as much as I do, but I did, the series kind of, and thank you, single songwriter. BD1 and Cal Kestis is alive and well in the Kenobi timeline. Excellent. So that would be such icing on the cake to see that. But yeah, I think that troopers are pretty much guaranteed. We're going to see many different types of troopers from now till the next 20 years because there are so many different types of planets and topographies that they can exist in. So the sky's the limit when it comes to these troopers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I want to get some of your predictions before we get to the ending of the show of the Obi-Wan series of this year. But before we do, I want you to talk a little bit about your channel. And I wasn't only just watching. I'm a subscriber to Positive Fandom. I told you that when I learned about the your channel on a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago. I think we're actually on Lael's show, Uncivilized Scoundrel, and I think we were talking about that actually live. And don't forget tonight. Don't forget to watch Lael's Say What. It's going to be coming up at 9:15 tonight. I actually think that you're on the show tonight, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
That's awesome. So make sure you tune into that tonight. But we're not done with this show yet. We're kind of just taking a little bit of a sidestep to talk a little bit about your channel. You had a great review on the trailer today to express your thoughts. And, I was watching some of your live shows and you have some guests. It's a really good feel
Thank
and you
you.
call it positive. And I'm all about positivity. So as we're talking about Star Wars here, we're talking about Purge Troopers and Airborne Troopers and whatnot. Tell us a little bit about positive fandom.
Yeah, so I started Positive Fandom because I did want to focus on uh, the positive things that we see in the fandom a little bit more. It does not mean that my channel doesn't critique things and say that we don't care for certain things. What it means is that we try not to use the words hate and garbage and, sort of like somewhat negative words that are kind of detrimental to use and not as expressive as they could be. So the idea is that everybody can come on and express their opinions, whether they like something or dislike something. And we want to hear it, but we want you to just get it all out. Get, the things that you want to say about it out and go ahead and express yourself. And the idea is that being able to have a place where you can express these emotions and how you feel, that's going to kind of like create healing. And you can kind of, say, okay, it did disappoint me, but I can kind of, I'm over that now and I can sort of like move forward and get on with my day. So, we want to have a positive message for everybody who sometimes things do disappoint you in the fandom. And that's going to be normal, not just in the fandom, but in everyday life. So, we just wanted to create a space that was safe for people. A lot of people do get on there and they say, I'm very disappointed. I'm very unhappy with this. And then I'm like, I'm glad you shared that, because sometimes people do need to get those feelings out. And so, there can be gain in sharing your feelings and listening to others, even when their opinions don't agree with yours. And so that's why I call it positive fandom, because we're trying to promote the positive benefits that you can get from expressing your opinions, whether they be opinions of something you like or dislike. Someone should be listening to you. We're all important and we all have opinions about things, and everybody deserves to go ahead and kind of like talk it out. So that's why I created the channel. It is a safe space, as I've said, and I cover a lot of fandoms. I am a huge Star Wars fan, as you already know, but I also cover other shows that come out as well. And what I also try to encourage people who are huge fans of a particular show or particular IP to join me, and let's do the review together, so that sometimes it's not ideal for every single person to create their own channel. Like, that's not something everybody can do, but they can certainly, do a series. Maybe that's a little bit easier for them to do, and they feel more comfortable, kind of jumping on in that way versus having a channel and having the responsibility of it. Because as you know, Aries, it is a lot of work, is it not? Running this whole thing. So the idea behind that too was, by doing that, my hope was to promote other creators who either want to participate but can't fully create their own channel, or who already have their own channel but need more promotion. And so by that way, I'm showing support for other creators as well. So that's the basis behind positive fandom. Also, just to promote kindness to one another. We're all in this together, and we have a great fandom. This is great to be in this fandom. I love the fandom. So we are so lucky to have one another and have this form of communication, where we can share ideas and opinions. We're very lucky. And so that's the basis behind positive fandom.
And people going in here, like 808 said, just subscribe to your channel. So thank you so much, 808. And everyone in here, you absolutely have to do that. I wanted to kind of pause the action over here to kind of talk about positive fandom, because quite honestly, it was so toxic. So toxic during The Last Jedi, during Solo, that even someone who's, and I'm diehard Star Wars, and I'm a super positive guy, and my wife, my kids, everyone that I talk to, if with always like, you're always so positive. It's almost like, hey, I'm sick. No, you're not. You're going to be fine. Oh, okay. It's always a big joke with me on that, but I always try. That's why I love Captain James T. Kirk so much, because he doesn't believe in no-win scenarios. And he always thinks that there are, or believes that there are, possibilities. And I'm the same way. But it's so refreshing to see that your name of your channel is Positive Fandom, because I I also point out too, I critique like when Hot Toys comes out with 2 screws on the bottom of the armor, and I still don't have that figure. They did a great job. I still rated it, not having it hands an 8 out of 10, 8.5. But maybe I think I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I give it all a 10 out of 10. You know, they hit the mark. They didn't hit the mark with May 4th last year. They came out with Echo while we get Grievous from Sideshow. That was a huge miss. But you can stay positive about it because at the end of the day, isn't I feel like there's so much, it's so tumultuous life. There's so many problems. There's so many things. You kind of come on here and escape, and you kind of feel, you want that positivity. You want to feel like, hey, I feel good about waking up tomorrow. I feel good about this, right? You know what I mean? So I really appreciate even the name of your channel. It promotes positivity by being called Positive Fandom.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words. And, I think that we have a very well-educated fandom, that's in here. And, for the most part, people are really kind to one another. And, everybody can have a bad day. And, we've been seeing people sort of doing things where someone has a bad day and then it's like they get condemned. And, I'm hoping that sort of behavior too, like the idea of forgiveness, is also something that we're going to slowly adopt, going forward for everybody as well. So, but thank you for the kind words. Certainly. I do appreciate it, Aries.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that is the key to a greater world and to ascending as a race to another level is forgiveness for sure. I think that is huge. And I kind of really feel it. We'd love to expand more on that with you at some point. But listen, everybody, we're going to talk more about Positive Fandom before we end the show, which will be in just a little bit over here. But first, I want to put this on the screen. And I want to get your final thoughts, your predictions, your coffee spilling clairvoyant predictions on what you think is going to happen in this limited series, which looks like a movie. Go ahead, go.
Yeah, I think that Ben is going to find himself helping other Jedi. And, it might be even a point where he's helping other Force children who have Force abilities to make it out. And overall, as I said before, we saw that photo of Owen there, and people have kind of speculated that maybe, depending upon, the relationships, I don't know how close, if they're blood relatives of Luke's or what the story is. But they are family, right, Aries? They're related somehow.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the idea is that even just the ordinary person who might just have a little bit of Force ability is going to be in a very dangerous place here. So, these manhunts that'll be happening are going to be quite profound to communities. And we kind of saw that. We saw somebody hanging, or at least what looked like someone was hanging, in the town square, so to speak, of the city. And I think what's going to happen is there are quite a few Force users who are in hiding, maybe in Tatooine. Exactly. Maybe it's not just Luke. Maybe it's not just Ben. But, being part of the underworld, I guess it's the underworld then too, right? That might be an area where many of them are hiding. And, it might be a stronghold for all we know. So although we're kind of seeing, Ben sort of in it, and it looks like it's just him and Luke, there may be others there. And so perhaps that's what brings the Inquisitor around at this very moment in time. But in regards to Obi going off-world, he might get a message, like you said, to come. We're looking for help, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. And
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, perhaps it is going to be a situation like that, and perhaps it's a trap. But
it's a trap. Oh, I need that Akbar clip.
Perhaps it's a trap, but I do think that it'll be something that'll be perhaps Vader induced, because he wants to draw out Obi-Wan. And he's kind of seeking him ultimately to I guess maybe they have a list of everybody, and they have a list of people who they're still looking for and people who they haven't been able to find. And for example, I think he knows that Ahsoka's out there somewhere. So I think that even though he found the lightsaber, I don't think that's convincing him that she's gone, but I think that he does have a pretty good gut feeling, especially of those closest to him.
Yeah, that he probably knows she's not gone.
Yeah. And so although she can't still feel him in the Force, he may be well aware that she's still around and has intel. So I think that there's a group of people that are very strong in the Force who are hiding out, and it would, give Vader a lot of high points if he could, tick those guys off the list one by one. I don't think the Inquisitors could do it. I don't think the Inquisitors can sort of like kill somebody with the skills of Obi-Wan, but they can get some other Force users who aren't, who've never trained or didn't have that training yet, and kind of really defeat them. But even Cal Kestis showed us that he was able to be clever, because you can't ever beat Vader. You have to trick Vader. You can't beat him in a fair fight, because he's just too powerful. So, is there a trick that's coming up? Is there something that somebody has in their sleeve to somehow outdo that? But, for sure, we're going to see if Vader is going to be physically present somewhere. It's going to be him on some, mission that's just absolutely horrible and terrible. Maybe like what you said, Obi-Wan has to come in and save the day. But we're definitely going to see more Force users out there who are hiding, and Obi-Wan's going to get involved in that. And he does look very concerned in this picture. You think there's another element. I don't know what the other element is, but he's terrified of it. And look at his face. Look at that face. He is not that happy-go-lucky, hello there kind of guy that we know him to be anymore, is he?
No, he's got the lightsaber lit.
Yeah, he has the lightsaber lit. So these are dangerous times, dark times. And, Bail Organa and the Resistance, which I don't know whether they're even been building up yet in strong numbers, but the idea of a Resistance might be also forming at this very minute. The idea of a Resistance for the first time,
Good point.
maybe brewing, and so who knows, maybe they'll capture an Inquisitor or something like that. So ultimately, I think Luke will find out, maybe not at this age, but he might start to suspect that there's something different about him at this age. Just like his father, I guess, knew something was up. He's just old enough to know, or just noticeable that he's so different or able to do things that other children can't do. And that puts him in increased danger. So we shall see. Well,
looking at Obi-Wan, and I got the Love Boat theme going on in my head looking at Obi-Wan, because I got to ask you this. Is it possible? He's not with the Jedi Council anymore. He's not there. Could he find love? Could he have an interaction with a female? There is a strong rumor out there that, and let me start with that. There's a strong rumor. We'll see. But do you think there can be a love interest?
Oh my God, I sure hope so. I hope he just goes for broke. I hope we see all sorts of salacious lovemaking. Yes, I hope it'll be something absolutely beautiful, and that'd put him at even higher risk. But boy, it would be great if he could love somebody, right? This is so unfair to make him so, and I understand it's their belief and everything, but come on, people. He fell in love with Satine and had to watch her killed in front of his face. This is so unfair, guys. He didn't deserve this. He so didn't deserve this. I sure hope he does find someone who, well, first of all, I can't imagine any woman who would kind of say no to him. You'd have to be, it's just impossible. He's charming, he's very interesting. I just don't believe that there's anybody out there who would say no to him. But I would love for there to be a love interest. And Aries, I always love a little romance in my stories. So
I got a sneaking suspicion he has the greatest pickup line. Hello there. One of the rumors is, and Daisy Ridley was actually interviewed very recently, that where she was hoping this would go, and where they were actually writing this to go, but I think that, I don't know if J.J. Abrams changed it or Kathleen Kennedy, was she was going to be the daughter or the grand of Obi-Wan. She was going to be related to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and have that lineage. And then one of the things was like, no, it's already established that she's a Palpatine. And they did that to kind of show how powerful she was. Can you imagine having Kenobi blood and Palpatine blood all in one body? Boy, that would be really, really interesting. There is a rumor going around that they're going to execute some retcon in here, and they may not even, it could be, I don't know. I mean, when I heard the rumor, I wasn't totally like, yeah, it's BS. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe, and they might not even mention her name. He could have a love interest and they could kind of tease something. I don't know. I don't know.
There certainly is. I certainly wouldn't be shocked if 100 women said that they were in love with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, surely that's the person that Padme should have gone after rather than Anakin. But to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure how his lineage would fit into the sequels that way.
Yeah,
I think he deserves something better.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's so epic. I mean, this looks so epic. This looks so. I hope we get a lot of Jimmy Smits in here. I mean, my thoughts on here. I think we're going to learn more about what happened with Grogu. Not everything, but we're going to get some tidbits, and we're going to have holy frack moments. I think we're going to get some interesting information on the development of what made Darth Vader what we knew him to be in A New Hope and of course Rogue One. I do think we're going to get Darth Maul. I just think we're going to get Darth Maul in this. I just really do. I think they're going to. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think it's going to happen. But I think we're going to get, at the very least, a hologram of the Emperor. I agree with you. I feel like that would be almost appropriate to have that in there. And I think we're going to get Maul. I think that's going to be too. I feel like, and you're going to get some of that Grogu information. I feel like they've told you there's going to be a great battle. Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, they're going to go at it again. Awesome. We already saw the Grand Inquisitor. We're going to have the third sister. You're going to have some, Purge Troopers or some troopers with that. You might get Cal Kestis. I feel like they've told us a lot of stuff. But you know how they are. There's going to be a couple of things or one thing in there that we're not expecting. And I would think what would make sense is Darth Maul. I really do. And I'd love to see the Emperor.
We know Maul does make it there. Like, this is not a surprise because of.
But they're not talking about him. So I guess I could kind of make it a surprise, right? Because they're like, shush.
Well, I mean, we've seen him there, and that's where he supposedly has his final resting place. But we know that he has gone there a few times for some reason. I can't remember the exact reason why he was there, but we know he's there at some point. So it would not be a surprise, at least during this time period, that he would be there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I'm so stoked today. I'm so stoked. This was a lot of fun. I don't know. I had so much fun with you. I feel like I could talk about this all night long on the Aries Terrington Show. I feel like I don't feel, I'm looking right at it. We're 14 minutes over, but I'm so, this is real exciting. I cannot wait for this series. Last question before we plug your channel one more time, we sign off. How different than The Mandalorian do you think that this will be? Do you think it's going to be? I felt like the Book of Boba Fett was The Mandalorian and then turned into like the actual Mandalorian, the last three shows. Like you said in the beginning here, this looks like a cinematic release. It looks incredible. I don't know. I got high expectations for this, but I don't feel like I'm going to get let down with this at all.
Yeah, there's a certain level of ignorance that the characters in The Mandalorian have that the characters in the Obi-Wan series do not have. And the Din character, as much as I love that character, he's so there's so much that he doesn't know, and it's a surprise that he doesn't know as much as he's been kept in the dark on purpose. And, for a grown man at this point to not have the knowledge that he should in a lot of situations, it's almost like he's sort of like going blind into every situation. And so this series isn't going to be anything like that. Obi-Wan is experienced and he knows what he's doing, and he's facing a grave danger that's even greater than what we saw in the Book of Boba Fett, dramatically different. And, it's I think Obi-Wan thought perhaps that he was not going to have to face these dangers anymore. I'm not going to say that he was, foolish for thinking that way. I think that, they maybe got a few lucky breaks, and, the children are kind of in a safe spot, so to speak. And he feels that, this is something he can handle. But I think that as the years progress, it's just going to make him, age more prematurely than ever. Of this burden that he has to put on his shoulders is much more of a burden than he ever had, having to handle Anakin. That's what I think.
Well, I just cannot wait. And so we're all out of coffee. I got a half a cup left, and I got to give it to Grogu. At table 5, also at table 88. Listen, we talked about your channel. Make sure you all subscribe to Positive Fandom. It's a positive channel and such a good channel, has a great vibe.
Thank
And you talked a little bit about why it's called Positive Fandom. Tell us a little bit about, as we're closing the show here, to plug your channel, what people could expect coming up on Positive Fandom.
Yes, I do reviews and interviews, and I also have a live show on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Eastern called the Positive Fandom Sunday Brunch, where we do sort of, the parlay and everything that's going on in the fandom. And it's a very interactive show, kind of like how your show is. Where we talk to everybody who, posts a message in the chat and see what people think about different things. But I co-host it with another member of the PGS, which is a part of Robert Meyer Burnett's network. A gentleman by the name of Russell Whitfield, who's my co-host of the show. And it's just kind of like, what's going on in the fandom? What's going on? He's in the UK, I'm in the US. And, it's a great, fun show. So
it's a great show. I actually was watching some of that here earlier this week. Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. We enjoy doing it, and it really kind of like, it makes the Sunday feel pretty good. So, bring your mimosas, bring all your parlay, and, let's talk it out. That's how I approach it. So, but I also have a series where I'm reviewing The Arcane, as well as I'm going to be reviewing Cobra Kai series coming up as well. And I also produce shows for the Burnett Work, which will be airing soon as well. So Positive Fandom, kind of like I'm working with different creators to get their work out, and also just to hear the opinions of all of these wonderful fans in our community of the fandom. So, guys, your opinion out there is valued. We value you, and, we're grateful to be part of this wonderful community.
No, and that's awesome. And you have to wonder, is it possible that I have the link to Positive Fandom within the video description? And I say
yes.
So make sure you please subscribe, show your support. to Positive Fandom, to Arum, and it was so great having her in here.
Thank you.
I can't wait to do this again. I hope you'll come back. I want to definitely have you on the Aries Terrington Show again. Of course, the panel shows as well, but this was great.
Thank you for having me, and I had a wonderful time, and I look forward to the next time, Aries.
Absolutely. We're going to have a lot of Star Wars to talk about. So just real quickly, what's going on with me? Look, I will put this up on the screen. If you don't have 6 Scale Cantina bookmarked, you may want to consider doing so. And while I'm talking here, don't forget to hit that like button. Hit the like. But if you like what you heard here today and you'd like some expanded thoughts, some heightened analysis, you want to get some more secondary markets and Star Wars Hot Toys information, news, analysis, you may want to consider becoming a Cantina Insider. You can get a preview for it at 6scalecantina.com. Just go to the homepage. This little teal bar on the right side. You see we have Insiders Live, what goes into the chart. We have some shows the Wizard hosts. We have some crazy unboxings. Look, I did one with Felicity Jones. You see her and I right there on the screen there. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. All you got to do is hit that little join button in the YouTube channel. See everything that it comes with. If you think it could benefit you, you may want to consider joining. And what's going on with me? Market Show Live this coming Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. I will be on Brother Cousins tomorrow night, Best of the Best. You don't want to miss that. I will be Dante, the man of hot collectibles, this coming Friday. You don't want to miss that as well. And, of course, the Market Show Live coming Sunday. And then I have a new show, too, Autumn, that I do on Sunday. That's more in the afternoon, more 12, 1 o'clock. Morning Coffee with Aries. And I will be doing that again this week with a lot of market stuff. And you have to wonder, is it possible that Ahsoka will officially be released by then? And we'll get another announcement. And I say we'll have to keep an eye on it.
I thought you were going to say yes.
I feel like something's going to happen. So I say yes. There you go.
Yes.
Come on. And then, of course, I'll be live and raw next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, with the next set of figures.
Yes.
That could possibly come out for the May 4th week. And, of course, for 2022. We've got 3 pre-orders. 3 pre-orders only for Star Wars Hot Toys in 2023. We're going to get smashed with some official announcements now that the Batman's come out. It's going to happen. You're going to see. Anyway.
And I have a question for you, Aries.
Please.
How many more figures are we going to get from this Obi-Wan series?
I actually think we are going to get quite a bit. And I think you're going to get, obviously, an Obi-Wan. But I actually think that it's possible we could get a couple of Obi-Wan figures. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to get a Darth Vader, of course. Mm-hmm. But there could be a couple of iterations of that as well. You're certainly going to get the third sister. Okay, you're certainly going to get probably the Purge Trooper. I think you're absolutely going to get the Grand Inquisitor right there. Gosh, I mean,
are we going to get a young Luke Skywalker?
It's possible. A 2-pack of a young Luke Skywalker and a young Leia. And I say,
gosh, yes.
Wait. How about the one that everybody wants? The figure that people have been looking for this figure for so long. I mean that they lose sleep over it. They break out into a cold sweat. And I'll flash this on the screen. And I think that everyone's prayers, everyone's hopes, everyone's dreams is going to happen. Maybe a 2-pack with a young Leia. And I say, yes.
Yes.
Come on.
Long overdue.
Look, I've been calling this, and it's kind of been a joke. It's kind of like been a joke, with the whole Lobot thing. It's been a joke with Bail Organa. But listen, Jimmy Smits is signed, baby. He's signed. He's a great television actor. And look, this is not a hard sell. You can have this in your Rebels collection, Artem. You can have it in your Clone Wars collection. You can have it in your prequels collection. You can have it in your Rogue One collection. And soon, you can have it in your Obi-Wan series collection. There's so many reasons to buy this figure. And yes, can you imagine just coming packed with a young Leia?
Yes.
So, yes. Yeah, come on. I think we'll get. I think we can get like 10 figures from here. That's how it is with Star Wars. We're getting so many from the Mandalorian, and we're not done. You're going to get that Cobb Vanth. You're going to get the. I believe you're going to get Grief Karga. I believe you're going to get Mayfield. I think it's going to happen before, season 3. I really, really do. I think you're going to get the announcements before. I don't think we're done. And I don't think we've begun yet with the Book of Boba Fett. Like I said, the ratings were super, super, super high. I think what happened was Chinese New Year, number one. Number two, with these movies like they have to do with Spider-Man, you had to get the Batman out. Because as good as I heard the movie was, it comes and goes. Or as Star Wars with these shows, it's like it's going to keep going. And I think we're going to get hit with a bunch of figures from the Book of Boba Fett as well, which are really Mandalorian figures. I mean, honestly, getting a Chrysanthemum, getting a Cad Bane, getting another, Boba Fett, getting some version of, yeah. But I think you're going to get more. I think where you get more, I think you're going to get another heavy infantry Mandalorian, Artem, with the shield.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, because it's going so high in the secondary market. But I think you're going to get more with the Obi-Wan series, and I think there's going to be a lot. What do you think? I think you're going to get about maybe 10. It could.
Yeah, I think you're definitely hitting the mark there, and more, maybe even more vehicles, perhaps.
Yes. Yeah. Look, they came out with that DeLorean for the. And they have that starfighter that they had. I mean, not the starfighter. What was that ship that they've?
It's a Naboo. It is a Naboo starfighter, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one that Mando's flying. What was the one that they teased? They teased some kind of Star Wars ship. Is it that starfighter?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's one of them. But I think they're gonna. Here's the thing. Star Wars was in a very dark place. You talk about, obviously you're very positive. You're positive fandom. I'm very positive. I was so depressed during The Last Jedi. I felt like I had to defend myself to be a Star Wars fan. I had to defend myself to talk about Solo movie. I had to defend myself. Rise of Skywalker. It's like, I know it can be good. It was kind of like, but I wasn't, it was hard to spill any coffee at that point. And Hasbro didn't want to make anything. Nobody wanted to make anything Star Wars. And what was the antithesis of that? Marvel was hitting it out of the park. You had Infinity War, Endgame, Pinnacle. Those movies went on to make $2 billion each, like The Force Awakens. And I think right now what you're seeing Star Wars coming back, because it's just as big as Star Wars is Star Wars. They got amusement parks built after this. It's huge. And now, like you have, I was pointing this out on my show the other day, I don't know, you have Venomized Groot, Venomized Iron Man, Zombie Deadpool. Okay, well, why are you putting out those figures? Why are those figures out? Why? Because they'll sell, because it's popular. So why would you come out with these figures now? Why would you come out? Because Star Wars is hot and it'll sell. And I think people forget that actually, even though it's not the same, it's on equal footing with Marvel. But I'll give you the last word on that since you asked me.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it's going to be like a Star Wars renaissance when it comes to figures. We're going to be seeing new figures that we haven't ever seen, like the Lando that was long overdue. Thank you, Single Songwriter, for the Jedi Starfighter, and some retros that we never got that we've always wanted. So I agree 100% on that, Aries.
Absolutely. Well, I could keep going all day. We got to have you back on. We got to have you back on, Artem. I'm so looking forward to it. But and I know that you're going to be on a show later tonight, coming up in 45 minutes.
Yes.
On Lael, 1/6 Scale Man. Don't forget his big show, Say What, is on tonight. So make sure you do that. I think I told you everything that was going on here. And with that, we'll go ahead and end a good thing here.
Yes.
So I'll end it like this, as I always do. I don't always buy coffee out. But when I do, I buy from 6 Scale Cantina. Stay thirsty, my friends.